Asher and Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures of Pipeman W4CY Radio. And I'm very excited about our next guest because, man, they got some killer music. So let's welcome to the show Tina Firefly from Beautiful Skeletons. How are you?
Hi, what's up? I'm very good. I am happy to be on your show this afternoon. I'm assuming you're on the East Coast as well.
I am. Where are you located?
I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina.
That's funny because my kids, I have a couple kids that live in North Carolina. So I do go through Raleigh. I'm in South Florida.
Oh, okay. So you're not too far away.
No, not bad. You know, a lot of times I'll make that drive up to Raleigh. You know, sometimes it's easier and less time to just drive it.
Yeah.
And that,
plus, who the fuck wants to fly anymore? Flying is such a dehumanizing experience. It makes you broke. Like, there's nothing good about flying anymore. So half the time I suggest to people take a fucking road trip because you really can't afford that ticket only to be treated like absolute cattle.
No doubt. And I love road trips. Like, some people can't deal with it. I've road tripped this country. I can't even count how many times anymore. I've road tripped Europe 3 times. I road tripped Costa Rica, you know, and like, the cool thing about road trips, now that you bring it up, is that you get to see things that you normally wouldn't see because they're not tourist places. They're not things you would see on a plane or even a train or what have you. And it's like, I'll just drive and I'll look and I'm like, whoa, that's cool. And I'll just pull off and go check it out.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a thing for road trips. I'm still getting used to road trips. Pretty much the only one I can stand without becoming violently ill is touring. But I think it's different on a bus. It's a different movement. It's different. I can lay down if I need to, you know.
And that's different than being in like control, like driving your own vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Touring, you know, I go on tour and do coverage at music festivals all over the US, UK, and Europe. Then I most of the time would rather fly unless it's close, you know. But if I'm just chilling and doing my thing, then there's nothing beats a road trip on your own terms in your own vehicle, blasting music on the open road away from all the insanity of the world.
For sure. It definitely has its charms. It has its charms.
And I gotta say too that I didn't get the note about the dress rehearsal, or else I would have been more prepared. We were talking about this before we came on, and I have a skeleton hoodie, and I didn't even think about it. Usually I would think about that. Usually I would think about that, but I'm like, great, now you didn't give me the memo, and I'm not prepared.
That's okay. I screwed up my last scheduled time with you, so I'm just glad that you were managed to segue me in here this afternoon. But yeah, no skeleton costume required. I generally wear something brandy whenever I talk to anybody about the music, you know, like, gotta connect the two. Skeletons, beautiful skeletons.
I love it. I love the whole concept of it. That's why I wanted to be on the same page. But I'm actually going to cover a Jack Johnson show in a little while. And so, like, I don't think wearing my, you know, Slayer or something else shirt or my skeleton shirt hoodie would really be appropriate at that show. So I'm wearing my Grateful Dead shirt to prove that metalheads don't just love metal. Okay.
Amen.
I am a total metalhead, but there's different vibes and different music. And like, I think a lot of people think that metalheads only listen to metal. Like, we listen to a lot more music than most because metal came from other types of music.
I 100% agree with that. I've noticed over the last decade or so, however long it's been that I've been doing this, in and out of other projects and stuff, that there are certain metal scenes that are really, really pretentious. I kind of liken it to like how Seattle was in the Fall Out Boy era. and everybody was emo core, and like if you weren't seen, then you didn't belong. I mean, they would like point you out and go like, "What are you doing here?" As if it's this like super elite, forever category of people. But it really cracks me up too, because I used to care about that. I used to care. So we would get booked for tours, and we'd end up doing, like a supporting band slot for, let's say, like a metalcore band or a death metal band or post-punk band, something completely opposite of what we're doing in most ways. And so we'll be in some basement somewhere performing at some venue, and everyone's just moshing out and everyone's just going crazy, right? There's a pit and everything. And as they're doing that, the first thing in my head is like, oh, fuck, I don't think we should do that ballad tonight. I feel like this is not fucking that. And inevitably, I'll go over to my guitarist and be like, Nar, do you think we should take that out of our set list? I feel like these guys maybe wouldn't appreciate the ballad in there. And he's like, nah, he's the opposite of me. He's like, fuck it, let's play it. And I'm like,
nice.
Okay, always feels weird. But then, I mean, I'd say 8 times out of 10, when we do it, there's a great reaction, which just really blows my mind. I mean, obviously, there's going to be hecklers and people that are like, whatever, what is
there's
this?
Always
Is it metal?
There's always the assholes.
There's always the assholes. But I would say, for the most part, surprisingly, people take the crossover pretty well. Now, I mean, I don't know if that every time is like that. I still have that fear every time, too, because I'm always like, oh, no, when we look at our tour mates, I'm like, where on the lineup are we?
Yeah, it definitely depends. You know what makes me feel good nowadays? Because I do come from the days of serious gatekeeping, okay? And what makes me feel good is when I'm sitting at a music festival with 100,000 metalheads and they're singing Backstreet Boys because that's what's playing over the speakers. And they're all into it. Yeah. And I'm like, not that I'm a fan of Backstreet Boys. It's more of a thing of like, see, they're just metalheads and they just love music and it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm all into that. I think maybe 5 or 6 years ago, the scene, at least along the West Coast, was pretty pretentious like that. If you walked in on a metal band lineup and you weren't, specifically whatever that genre of metal was, people just leave. They're like, I don't know why they're here. It was really hardcore. Nowadays, I would say post-COVID, people are a little less picky about their metal. At least my observation is they're a lot more good. That's cool. With crossover.
Yeah, because I was part of that whole Sunset Strip 80s metal scene. And I talk about this a lot because it was so stupid back then. Metal was such a small community. Punk was such a small community. The jocks were all beating the shit out of us and bullying us, but we would get into fights with each other. And I was a long hair. I couldn't go to punk shows. Punks couldn't go to metal shows. And then there was like, the first gig I ever went to in a club was Motley Crue before they had an album, but they were horror punk. They weren't glam yet. Okay. And I was just talking about this in an interview earlier. And then I was at Slayer and Metallica's first show ever. So then I found my true calling. But my friends would be like, yeah, you need to burn all that Motley Crue shit now. I'm like, I'm not burning my shit. Yes, you are. We are burning that shit. You can't be a Slayer fan and have Motley Crue shit. And it used to be like that even at the shows. Like if somebody showed up in a Motley Crue t-shirt to a Slayer show, they would get that shirt ripped off their back. Literally, they would throw it up to Tom and Tom would burn it live on stage.
Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me.
And I could say so many stories about like the punk stuff. Even now, it's not as bad as it used to. Punks and metalheads are one community together, but there's still, like, to your point. So I was dating this singer of a hardcore punk band, and she just couldn't get over the metal part. Like, she was that punk from way back where it was like, the same thought process, like metal, blah, 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 blah. And I ended up breaking it off with her because, like, listen, I don't need abuse about a very similar music. Okay. That's just dumb, and
yeah,
I think there's no place for it in 2026. Enough of the world is dividing us. we need
Exactly.
to all stick together against those people.
Well, I think like the milk and honey times of music is what I call pre-COVID, when you could just have an outdoor festival fucking anywhere, at any time. So many people came, brought their friends and family. That phase, between COVID and the escalation of world events, I feel like that is forever scarred the face of how people attend live music and their opinions on the bands that they like and what they're willing to listen to crossover wise than before, which, I mean, obviously I don't like COVID and I don't like the escalation of world tension, but I love that there's been this new evolution of thinking amongst local music supporters where they're a little more educated about what indie bands have to go through to even get to their ears. And they're more open and willing to listen to crossover genres, because fucking nothing we do is new. Nothing nobody does is new. We're all just like sampling our own personal, tastes and whatever, and mishmashing it with our bandmates. So, I mean, in the end, it's not that we're doing anything new. So what's the difference between using crossover in the songs that, maybe it's metal jazz, or maybe, I don't know, metal like jug playing? It doesn't matter if it speaks to you. Listen to it. Don't care about what your stupid roommate next to you is telling you. That's not real metal. Like, I feel like that mentality is so outdated now. I just don't see a lot of people doing it anymore. It makes my heart happy though.
Me too, because I see a lot of blending of genres within bands, and I think it's necessary because then you have your own unique sound, opposed to a lot of these other bands that are following this formula. It's because they're in some subgenre. No, that's when it's all sounds the same. Like, and you talked about metal jazz. I mean, I think Megadeth immediately, because Mustaine, it plays jazz guitar in his metal, and metal is a derivative of classical music. So, and then a very proud moment recently was at Welcome to Rockville, and we were getting evacuated, code red because of weather, and Waka Flocka Flame was playing, and instead of evacuating, he jumps off the stage and started a mosh pit during his set. So if Waka Flocka Flame is starting a mosh pit, man, we can all get together and we can all get along, Exactly. And everybody was having a blast. You can find it on YouTube too. Like, everybody was having so much fun. And that's the key. It's supposed to be fun, and to me, live music, I don't even have to like the music. If it's live music, I like it, there's some artists that I'll see live and I love it, but I'm not going to listen to their music in the car because it's not really my jam. But the environment, and
you can appreciate their craft, right?
Exactly.
Like, you can appreciate that they go out there, they put on a performance. It's not your kind of music, but they still did it. They did it for the fans. They're not making shit.
Fun. It's fun. I was covering a festival once, and I always had this thing of like, I don't get the whole idea of a DJ doing a concert. Like, I get
my God. Yes. Yes.
And I was like, okay, if I go to a nightclub, I get it. But then I did do a festival where Skrillex and Bass Nectar were performing, and I kind of got it. It was weird, but I kind of got it while I was there, because I was like, holy shit, these people are just having a blast, and like, it's this big performance. Now, do I call that music per se? No, but it was entertaining. So that's the difference. Like, and if you're having fun, that's all that matters. If you're a DJ, you may be a great DJ. Are you a music artist? No, because you're not creating music. Okay. But you're doing something entertaining, and I think we have to look at different perspectives sometimes on a lot of different things. And, I mean, listen, with all the shit going on in the world, and what happened with COVID, I don't care if some kid gets up on stage and plays a recorder. I want to be at that live show, because that 2 years was hell.
It really was.
And like, to me, there's no better feeling than being at a live music event.
And there's no better feeling than playing live. I mean, we all played in our kitchens and bathrooms and garages and webcammed what we could, but I mean, that's just not, it's not the same, you know?
No.
My guitarist and I were both, we call ourselves addicts, you know? We're like, playing is our addiction. It's what we do everything for, is to play live. Everything else is just a byproduct of playing live, or a way to get you to come see us to play live. So whenever we talk about it, we always start doing this. We're like, yeah, it's been too long, gotta do this. And during COVID, it was like, him and I
Those
both went through withdrawal.
I didn't get the streams. It didn't do anything for me. Like,
We never did any.
And I'm thinking to myself, man, that's got to be really tough on the artist, because the artist feeds off the crowd. I don't care if it's one person, you know, but like trying to play like you're playing a concert with nobody there, that's a little weird. And I will say too that, you know what, playing your instruments and being a musician is what matters to me. Like, I don't care if you make mistakes. I'd rather have mistakes than perfection. And I'd rather you be able to still do a show, even if your backing tracks aren't working, your laptop's not working.
Oh my God.
Like,
don't get me started on that. Don't
like,
get me started on that.
Come on. A perfect example, one of the best shows I was ever at was at a Danny Wimmer festival, and it was Bad Flower. And Josh had laryngitis, so he couldn't sing. They didn't cancel the gig. They came out. He played his guitar. He didn't sing. He had the crowd sing the songs. And they did. And it was so much fun. Like,
that's an exception. Like, I would go, that's an exception. But I would say, like, for most emerging artists, that doesn't quite work out in their favor sometimes. I used to bitch about this all the time, because, you know, you've listened to the album. We have, I do harmonies, I do backup, whatever. The guys have, we only have one guitarist, but he does 2 or 3 guitar parts when we track an album. And we have, for the last 8 years, been on this, like, never ending debate of, do we want to use backing tracks for a few things in the background? Do we want to venture into that territory? And there's always just so much, we're always so passionately torn. Like, half of the members are like, yes, we need to do that. The other half are like, fuck no, we don't want that hassle. So as a result, we just haven't done it. We're plug and play. And when we go on tour with other bands, especially with bigger bands, I mean, it's always, there's the laptop being the 6th member or whatever. And I personally really wanted that. I wanted to have, like, the synth and everything in the background. And the second tour I ever went on, I saw the laptop actually take a shit on stage, and saw the aftermath of what happened to the band, who, to their credit, they tried to do it, but everybody was so thrown off by the fact that the click was going, but the tracks weren't. And so it was just this not great performance. And that day I went to my drummer, because he's very like, no backing tracks. I went to him and I'm like, okay, I see what you mean. Like, that would be horrible. And I would be the one that would have to talk about it, right? To try and get everybody to be like, ooh. So at that point, I stopped.
You got to be able to go with the flow and go with the punches. And, you know, I talk about this because it's so in my mind. 1983, the US Festival, Van Halen was headlining, and they start playing the song talking about love, and David Lee Roth is not singing. And they look over at him, and then 300,000 people there, and he yells over the microphone, I fucking forgot the words. And the whole place just roared like it was the best thing that ever happened. And that's what makes him a great frontman, because it was like, you know what? He fucked up, admitted it, said it to the audience, and made it like it was fun.
You know, when you get, I hope if we do it, you know, or for anyone who gets to that level from independent to more national, and people at your show are singing every single word to your song, like, at that point, I'd be okay with it. But for us nobody bands, you stop singing your song and people just look at you like you're fucking nuts. So that doesn't quite work in our situation. We're touring, and, you know, if that 6th member goes out or 5th member goes out, it's like, yeah, I hope you guys can still pick up where you are in this song, even though the click is gone and everything's gone. Yeah.
Like, you gotta improvise a little. Or like, I've sat side stage a couple times and seen a singer behind the curtain, and I'm like, I'd rather hear the shitty voice than that. That's my opinion. I'd rather have the person singing fuck it up.
I gotta say, the weirdest thing for me though, because I really didn't grow up going to concerts or anything, but the weirdest thing for me is like when we would watch a band with, one guitarist have 5 guitarist tracks live, and at that point they're not even trying to pretend like they're playing other parts. They just stop playing, and then it's like the bassist is playing, but the guitarist is off getting a drink of water side stage. But there's all this guitar going, and I'm just like, what the hell?
Yeah, I'm
such
not
a
down with
dark
that.
contrast. It's fucking
I'm not,
crazy.
yeah, I'm not down with that. Like, I want musicians to be musicians. And you know what? We're all human. We all screw up. You're not expected. But that's like, okay, as an example, that's what made the Grateful Dead great, is that there was no set ever that was exactly the same because it just jammed and they didn't go by the studio version. If I want just the studio version, I'll listen to the album. I want a live performance, live music, and I want to see that you're human, okay? Because listen, we all make mistakes in everything we do. You know, we're all our own worst critics too.
Musicians especially.
Yeah,
very self-deprecating group.
Exactly. But you know what? Most of the people in the crowd don't even know when you screw up.
So true. So true. I can't tell you how. I mean, pretty much almost every show, I jump off the stage and I'm like, that was fucking horrible. I couldn't hear you in the chorus on the last one. I was trying to signal Jason and he didn't fucking see me. I tripped over my XLR cable. I hit my fucking, I will literally tally every single thing in my head that did not go according to plan. And the moment that I am getting my shit to get the fuck off stage, that's what's running through my head, is like, God damn it, and I'm thinking like, I need to watch the playback and see if it was as bad as I think it was. And 9 times out of 10, it's totally fine. Like, we'll notice it because we wrote it, but everybody else is just like, oh, it's great,
Exactly.
So, yeah, we're hard on ourselves.
Yeah, and even me in what I do, like, I can't tell you how many times I come off an interview, I'm like, fuck, why'd I say that? Why'd I do this? Oh, I sucked. And then the artist is saying, man, that was so much fun. That was a great interview. And I'm like, okay, if you say so.
There's only 2 types, though. I gotta say, there's only 2 types, right? So there's your type, yours and my types, right? We're always self-deprecating, criticizing, pushing for perfection, accepting nothing less, being true to ourselves. And then there's the other type where they're actually not as good as they think, but you can't tell them that. And they will surround themselves with everybody who is their yes man. So that inflates their ego even more. And the bigger their ego gets, the even shittier their performance and their music gets. So I feel like it's a dichotomy. It's a weird dichotomy.
They think they're doing you a favor, those people.
Yes.
Most of those people are the ones that had one hit like 20 years ago, 10 years ago, nothing else. And they think they're God's gift to music.
Okay. I know this is an interview. You're interviewing me, but I'm going to ask you a question because I
love it. I love it.
Okay. So you've been everywhere. You talk about walk-in and festivals and everything, right? So tell me, and I guess don't get yourself fired and give me a name if you think it's going to get around, but tell me what artist, if you can, or tell me a story about an artist that was, famous or semi-famous up there, who was a total fucking dickwad and just shattered your illusion of, looking up to this artist.
So I will tell you that I've been pleasantly surprised through all the years of how many artists are cool as shit that other people say are dickwads. Perfect example I'm going to give you right now is a lot of other press people have said stuff. That's why I don't listen to other press people or anybody for that matter, form my own opinion, that Amy Lee is a bitch. Let me tell you something. My experience with Amy Lee is the exact opposite of that. Nicest person ever, sweet as pie. I have nothing bad to say about her. And my viewpoint is those other people didn't get what they wanted out of her, and then she's a bitch, okay? And it's bullshit, okay? Now, On the other hand, in answer to your question, there is one person, I won't mention his name. He's pretty big, okay? Um, he's not really liked by anybody, okay? Because like he's the type that if somebody's smoking backstage at a huge festival, we're not talking a small area, he gets the whole plate backstage shut down where nobody's allowed to smoke. Like, you don't like it, so go away from it, you know. Like you don't go into your dressing room, you don't have to deal with it. I'll tell you somebody else that I will mention names because I don't care, that I totally thought was a bitch on stage. Didn't meet her face to face, but on stage she was a bitch. And it reminded me, because of smoking, we're at a music festival, an open air music festival. She stopped the set 4 times to tell people not to smoke. And if they did smoke or vape, she was walking off stage. Like, you can't tell a crowd of 100,000 people at a festival outside that they can't smoke. Okay. It's music festival. You're in the wrong fucking business, man. And she was bitching about a bunch of things, like to the crowd. Great voice, phenomenal voice. But when I saw that, I was like, no, I'm totally turned off by that person. That was Stevie Nicks.
No.
Yep.
Man.
And I never imagined her to be like that, but man, she was acting like she was everybody's mother in the audience, you know, and telling them what to do. And listen, just let people have fun. Listen, I get it if the smoke bothers you. I get it for all the reasons, but you can't talk to the crowd like that.
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be some other solution, you know? How many gigs have you done in all your career that there was no smoking at all? Like, come on. Even the inside venues where you're not allowed to smoke, people are still smoking, okay?
It's the territory, man. That's like, you know, when I remember when smoking was allowed in bars. Okay, I'm an ex-smoker. Obviously, I vape.
Me too.
But I remember when smoking was in bars, and I remember the day that they enacted the actual no smoking inside, even at a bar, and I watched the entire audience leave after the second song because they wanted to go out and have a cigarette with their beer. And what am I going to say? Like, hey, smoking's bad for you. I know I smoke, but smoking's bad for you while I'm singing. So stay, you know, like I couldn't say anything. And I get it. Like it's a bar. It's what they want to do. And I remember thinking at the time, like, this is going to really piss me off. I need to figure out a way to arrange the set so that people have, you know, a quick 5-minute breather. Even if I only have like 25 minutes, I'll go like, okay, we've got to, you know, change something around real quick if you want to go steal a smoke and come right back, you know. And people were appreciative of that because you could tell they wanted to stay, but at the same time, 3 beers in, you know, Marlboro's calling. So,
as a former smoker, yeah, I would totally love you for doing that because it's not that I want to miss any part of your set. It's just I need a fucking cigarette, man.
It's calling you. Yeah, I get it. You know, so I remember doing that. And then my bandmates at the time, not these guys, but my bandmates at the time were like, why the hell did you say that? Everybody, I was like, but everybody came back within 5 minutes. Like, no shit. I said that. And people were like, sweet. So they went out, they puffed down a cigarette real quick, stumped it out, and came back in once they heard the music going. And I was like, okay, how about this? I'll try the next time. I'll say, you know, hey, don't go nowhere. We only have 25 minutes. Hang on to your cigarettes for 25 minutes. Terrible reaction. And I knew it would be. And so I reversed it halfway through the set. I'm like, just joking, go smoke. We'll be right back, you know. But you could tell that people were like, what are you telling me to do? You know, so it's just one of those things. I knew that was going to change the face of how crowds interacted on top of everything else, you know. So I don't know. Personally, I think that's overstepping. These are the people that buy your record. These are the people that showed up at the door.
Especially stopping your set multiple times to yell at people. Like she was scolding people. And I'm
That's
like,
crazy.
if these people ever go see you again, they're stupid. Because if she was scolding me, I certainly wouldn't go see her again, type of thing.
Yeah.
But here's what I find also in answer to your question. I rate artists on 3 different levels. There's the icons who have no idea they're rock stars because they're icons and they're just cool as shit. Like when I've interviewed Leonard Skinner, they were laughing the whole interview. Like they don't take themselves seriously because
Amazing.
most icons don't wake up early in the career and say, I want to be a rock star. It's the douchebags that say that.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
The real musicians could give a shit less or don't even want that. Like Kurt Cobain did not want that at all. At all. Okay.
Yep.
If it was up to him, he would just stay in the hotel room and play guitar with Courtney. That was kind of how he was. And that's a true musician. That's a true artist. So then there's the bottom rung, the emerging artists, the new artists. They're totally cool as shit too because they haven't had a chance to have an ego yet. Okay. And they just are starving to be able to play. And so they're really cool. It's the middle ones. It's the middle ones, the ones that either, like I said, had some fame like 10, 20 years ago, 5 years ago that they hold on to forever, or they're just like, they think they're the icons.
Yeah.
They think they're better than everybody else, and they're not. And that's why they're not the icons.
Yep. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I would even add to that, at least from my observation, there's a slight layer right below that middle. And that's local bands who have been kicking around the same project and have, done buy-ons here and there, tours, and they come into a show as like a direct support for a national act or whatever with the other local bands, but they act like they are the biggest, hottest shit in the entire world. And they tend to be the worst as far as like personalities go backstage to other musicians, where we're just looking at them like, bro, I know where you live. You live like 20 miles that way. I fucking see you at goddamn Whole Foods every fucking Saturday. Like, how do you think that your shit don't stink? We come from the same area, done the same things. Like, how fucking dare you be like that? It's just crazy to me that you have absolutely zero accolades. Not that you think that having accolades is an excuse to be a shitty human being, but those ones tend to be. Just cracks me up. I'm like, who the fuck are you right now? I don't know.
Exactly. And a lot of them, they forget where they come from too. I think the icons that are nice as could be and have no ego, they don't forget. They don't forget what got them there, and, like I always say, an overnight success takes about 20 years.
Nice. I agree with that. Yes,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's tell everybody how they can reach out to you guys on socials, on the web, how they can check out your new album, Pulse Line Scar, and and more importantly, buy your merch because they can't listen to my show unless they buy your merch.
Hell yeah. So I would say that the easiest way to find us is either YouTube, just typing in the band name, or Linktree. Linktree will have all of the links: Facebook, Twitter, Apple Music, Google Music, Amazon Music, all of the things. Everything that's going on right now has a spot within our Linktree that you can just click once and go to where you need to go. So that would be the best way to check us out. We are going to end up, obviously on Spotify. That'll drop on the 21st, and you'll be able to stream it at that point. But there is a link to purchase on our Linktree as well too. And we have vinyls coming up, and we have regular CDs as well. But these days streaming is like one of the mainstays. I would say for people who want to support us, one of the biggest things is, like you said, buying merch and coming to shows, because I think it's important for our audience to get educated in the world of disillusioned musicians. For example, Spotify, you can get 150,000, 500,000 plays and get a check for 20 cents.
Oh,
after
it
all is said
pisses
and
me
done.
off. I pay more
Yeah.
royalties than Spotify does. There's something wrong with that. Like,
Absolutely. And all of the other things that go into getting something ready for people to consume, just even getting the information to them is highly costly. So definitely buying merch helps support us. But more than anything, we just want to interact with people who like our music. You can always buy merch at a show as well, in addition to buying it online. But yeah, if you do end up coming out to see us on any of our upcoming shows, just stop by. I will always be at the merch booth after a set, talking with people and just kind of hanging out. And if you've seen us from the Adventure of Pipeman, just let me know. Hey, I saw you on an interview at the Pipeman, and I will give you a free shirt.
nice. And I got to tell you, I saw two lines that I absolutely loved. Uh, one was where it was said, delivering an album that doesn't simply ask to be heard, it demands to be felt. That is that is a great line because music is felt. It's not just heard. And I think that
100%.
is the problem with stuff like Spotify and this track mentality
Hmm.
because kids today, they're just listening, they're not feeling it, they're not immersing themselves in the music. And I
Yeah.
think with everything going on in the world, we need to immerse ourselves more and more in music to get our therapy.
Agreed. Agreed. And discover new music, because I mean, the world can stop, but the creation of things never does, especially music.
No,
So, if anything that I appreciate about technology is at least now the indie band, or the everyday musician, or even just somebody who likes to, DJ in their bedroom at night when everyone's gone to bed. All of those people still have the same ability to reach a large number of ears. So I appreciate that about technology. But yeah, I mean, if you'll be able to hear us at a show. You can buy things, but it's so much better to come and feel it.
no
It's
doubt.
Yeah, what we do on CD is great, right? Like our recording, I'm very proud of this album. However, I mean, pretty much every fan that's ever come to see us live, after having heard us, is like, "Whoa, that I didn't expect it. It gave me a physical connection to what you're saying." And those are the words that make my heart happy, because I'm like, holy shit, then that's what we were trying to do. Yay.
Nice. And the other line that I like, and I like it because I can't stand genres. I can't stand putting artists in a box, and that box keeps getting smaller and smaller. So I saw where it said, trying to categorize beautiful skeletons has never been easy, and they prefer it that way. And I love that because that's the way I prefer it as well.
Absolutely. I mean, we can talk till we're blue in the face about our favorite genres, what our influences are, were, what we would listen to on a daily basis. But the reality is, like, you're just one person in a bigger, pie. All of us contribute to the ingredients of that pie, and us having completely opposite influences, myself and the other guys in the band. That, in my opinion, that's what makes it so that when we do create music, we create what we do. I mean, it's just very unique to us, not even being influenced by the same freaking thing.
I say it
And
all the time. I agree. Yes.
yeah, and I feel like out of all the bands and projects I've ever been in, I think this is the most unique, and that's why I've stuck with it the longest, because it's so hard to find other musicians that are okay being sort of fringe of whatever genre that you say that you take your inspiration from. Like, for example, our bassist, love him to death. He loves country, and we rail him all the time. All the time. Like, it's always a joke about Jason's like favorite whatever country artist, right? But even then, he is the best bassist I've ever worked with, because he's doing walking bass lines on like a Degenti track, and it sounds fucking sick. And that's exactly why I feel like having those opposite influences, if you can tap into the right feeling, it doesn't matter, and we end up shitting tracks out left and right. I mean, it's ridiculous. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of songs that we've written just from jamming, and
Nice.
just stored away in the vault, for future use, because we just have so much musical chemistry. And that's very, very important. But I do think you see that on stage too when we play.
That's key, and I think it is extremely important. And I think the chemistry is way more important than the genre.
Agreed. Agreed. We had trouble getting a drummer for a while, getting a drummer that, you know, was the right fit and had the availability to stay and gig and tour like we want. And we didn't limit ourselves to, looking for a metal drummer, looking for a prog metal drummer. None of that. I mean, it was just come hang out with us. Don't bother learning any songs. Let's jam for an hour. That's how we
Yeah.
auditioned people. And it is a tried and true method. We've had people come and try to play a song and, it could work out. But it's when we start jamming that I'm like, all right, what do you do when you don't know what you're doing? That's what I want to know. Because
Yeah.
at some point on stage, you're not going to fucking remember what you're supposed to be doing. And I don't want you to just stop playing midway through the song and go, oh, wait, shit, I missed. No, I need to know what you're going to do under pressure. And not only that, can you keep it under pressure, but can you create under pressure quickly? And it's just the best audition process ever. And that's how we landed on the lineup we have now, which I'm very happy with. So
I love that. That is a beautiful plan for auditioning, I think.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of times like, okay, Randy Rhoads, he was tuning his guitar and Ozzy hired him because he was tuning his guitar. Like,
shit, I didn't know that. Holy crap.
you didn't know that? Yeah.
No. Wow.
So
That's insane.
like that, like one of the best guitarists ever. And obviously there was something heard in that, opposed to just playing a song,
Yep.
because anybody could play a song, like you said,
Mhm.
not anybody, but anybody that's a musician that knows how to play.
Exactly.
But not anybody can just off the cuff do something when everything's gone to hell and they have
Yes.
to do something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we've all had our share of fucking up lives, like we were talking about earlier. And I personally feel like I probably had more of a share of that because as a front woman, obviously everyone's looking at me before anyone else. And so there's pressure there. But like I used to care, and I'd say these days, for the most part, as long as I didn't like flash my coochie at the wrong person by accident, and it was a meaningful flash and I targeted somebody, that would be different. But there's not very much that can embarrass me anymore, other than like a truly shitty vocal performance, I guess. But like, I mean, I've fallen off of my riser and literally tripped right into the drum set. I pick up my mic and go, all right, well, good thing I didn't crack my head and keep going. I was at the front of a stage that had like these weird blocks that they put so that the vocalists could like kind of get out past the stage, but didn't tell anyone that the blocks were like pushed together like IKEA furniture. So of course I step in this dark and it's right through the crack. I had somebody actually catch me before I bit it and put me back on stage. Didn't stop singing, didn't say a fucking thing about it. I jumped, I'm tiny, okay, like I'm short. And we were playing at a venue that the stage was like way far off the ground. And I had this moment where I was like, fuck it, I'm going to jump. Right. And I jumped. And then I realized I landed. Everything was cool. And then I look back as I'm singing. I look back and realize it's way taller than I can pull my fat ass up there. I'm like, fuck, I have to run around the audience through the back and up onto the stage. My mic was corded at the time, so obviously I can't take an XLR cable with me. So halfway through my phrasing, I unclipped it, threw it back on stage, ran through the crowd up on stage, grabbed it. The guys were looking at me like, what the fuck is happening? Grab it, plug it in, didn't miss a fucking beat. Everybody's like, yes.
Nice.
It's that kind of shit. In my head, I'm like, that was terrible. I'll never live that down. And the opposite happened. People were like, that was fucking sick. And
yeah,
like,
exactly. People love that shit. I saw Vincent Price of Body Count, Ice-T's band, jump off the stage just like you, a high stage, broke his leg on the jump and kept playing.
Whoa.
And they came over with like a wheelchair or something late after, but for a few minutes he was just lying on the ground playing with a broken leg. And then he played the rest of the gig down there because they came over and propped him up. So that's metal.
That is crazy. That's the stuff that, like, in the moment you're like, this is dead. I'm dead. Like, it's over. I'm gone. Like, this is going to be talked about. But then you come out the other side and it's really about your own reaction, right? Like, had I like started crying and decided to run out of the venue, you know, I mean, that would have been bad. But obviously I just fake it till you make it sometimes. And that was one of those things where it's just like, all right, well, the worst that can happen is I miss a verse. Like, who fucking cares? And that, I feel like that just over time gets better. But I've seen
Jim Morrison as an example. He used to fuck up all the time, fall all over the stage, get arrested, and like, he's still one of the most beloved artists ever. So yeah. Anyway, thanks a lot for giving us this great music. People have to check it out because you guys rock.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being on the Adventures of Pipeman.
Hey, you guys chill. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.